Good morning, Chaos fans.
Welcome back, Chaos fans.
Just trying to throw you off this morning.
Why, to doing the intro without me? Can't do that.
Tried to beat you to it.
You did beat me to it. I was waiting for the ring for our bell here to dissipate.
Oh, you have to reduce that. I was listening to another podcast.
You were cheating on us?
It's just friendly.
Okay.
It's not
serious?
No.
Totally platonic?
Right. But they do theirs over the phone, and they do 3 claps, which is what we had started with.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And the claps just didn't work. Bell works much better. So that's your pro tip from us podcasters. To sync your lines, use bell.
Yeah, since we do it on the cheap, we do our recording on the cheap. We are using Audacity software, which, tell you the truth,
that's too much detail now.
But I'm just saying, it's actually done a very good job. But we're recording on completely 2 separate PCs. So in order for us to sync our tracks together, we have to have some kind of noise.
Yeah, it's an old style school teacher bell too.
Yep.
I like it.
Yep, my wife being a school teacher.
She probably has a bunch of those.
We have a few of those around the house, yeah. Which the kids love to play with. So, if you take these apart, you can flip the striker upside down.
Yeah.
So when you hit the thing, it doesn't work.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I had to take a couple of those apart and turn the striker around. So when you push the thing, it doesn't make any sound.
That explained why. Because I remember being in school and some of the teachers had them, and kids would go up and hit it, and it just wouldn't work.
Yes, that's right.
Like, it just doesn't work anymore. It's like, how does a bell not work anymore? That's why it was on purpose.
Yes, absolutely, it was on purpose. Teachers have to hear that way too much.
Yeah.
Although, when was the last... Well, I guess, you have kids, you've been in school. But when was the last time you were in a school and heard the quote-unquote school bell? Does your kid's school still have a bell?
Yeah.
Like bells that ring in
the hall?
It's not
like a lady ringing the clanger.
No, but,
it's
almost like a fire bell, right?
Yeah.
Well, our kids' school in the county, they don't have that anymore.
No?
It's got this ridiculous, electronic buzzer, bah sound. It's really annoying. I'd rather hear the bell.
Yeah. That'd be...
the bell was sort of heartwarming. Reminds me of my days in school.
It was a nice bell sound.
Yeah, we still had bells in school.
Yeah.
And actually, even in college, the fire alarms were still bells. Because one of the things that my girlfriend in college, she was one of the RAs in the building. Yeah. And it was funny, she was really short. She's 5'2". Okay. I think she claimed she was 5'3", but she was actually 5'2" and a quarter or something. But whatever. But one of the things the RAs had to do is the RAs had to walk through the building on rounds, I don't know, however many times a night they were on duty or whatever, and they had to ding the fire bells.
And so like a hammer?
Well, this had to reach up and flick it or something. But because what students would do is, because you're in college, people make silly decisions.
Yeah.
Where they pull fire alarms at 3:00 on a Wednesday morning just because they think it's going to be funny.
Right.
It happens. But what students would do is they would stuff the bells with socks or a T-shirt or something, so when the bell rang, it wouldn't make the loud sound. It would just make a thud. So her job when she was going through was to ding every single one of these bells as she's doing her rounds just to make sure there was nothing in there. She couldn't reach them.
Yeah.
So she had to use a wooden spoon. She had to carry a wooden spoon with her so she could reach up and ding these bells. It was really funny.
That's funny.
Anyway.
So I have a story for you first before we get started.
Okay, shoot.
This relates to experiences you've had because we've talked about this in the past.
Okay.
So I went to buy some pants. This is starting out exciting.
Was your wife with you? Did she do where she grabs the belt loops and kind of pulls up on them a little bit?
It's not quite like that.
Okay.
But anyways, so I buy the same pants. I go to Banana Republic, right? And they've carried the same pants for, 10, 15 years.
Mm.
And when I first found that they had the pants that I liked and they fit well, it's like, great. So I just made a note of what the name called of it was and what size. Because we've talked before about the diets. My size doesn't change regardless. So I just go in. It's I don't even have to try them on. I pick up a couple sizes of these because they come in different colors. And that's what I wear to work. Mm. All right. So I went in. It was time to get some new pants. So I went into the Banana Republic and I'm looking around the store because their men's section it's not that big of a store.
Right.
So I go in, I'm looking for the pants and I don't see them. They just didn't have them on the shelf. It's maybe they just changed the name because they've done that before too. Instead of changing the pant, they changed the name. I'm looking, it's like, well, I'm reading the signs, and there's thin leg, thinner leg.
Thinnest leg.
There was like a third one, and then there's the athletic cut. It's like, okay, well, I'm definitely not
what does that mean?
I don't know. So I didn't know. So then it's like, well, I know I'm not a thin leg style person. Like that
you don't
doesn't
like
appeal
skinny
to me.
jeans?
No,
You don't seem like a skinny jeans guy.
no.
You're not a millennial, so
No. So I took the athletic pair and tried it on. It's like, these are not athletic. I wouldn't know what an athletic. I don't know what kind of athlete they're aspiring to. Maybe long distance runners. Because it's like, well, they feel like thin legged ones. Good thing I picked up like 2 pairs because I tried them both on. And they were so thin I almost couldn't get like my foot through the end of the pant leg. It was just really thin.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah, and these were the athletic ones. Like, wonder what the thinnest leg one were. So anyways, I took them back out and I handed the pants off to the person in the booth. And I'm looking around the store. It's like, well, they got to have them somewhere. It's like, they can't just have thin, thinner, and thinnest. They've got to have something else.
Thinner and athletic.
So then I'm walking around and I couldn't find them. So I found the person working there. And let's see, I'll describe this person as a not unattractive, slender female, right?
So she was a good-looking girl. And that's okay.
Not as good looking as my wife. How's that?
Perfect.
All right.
That's a perfect descriptor.
But then I'm going, and there's probably like 4 people, same description, working in the store. And I had to go up there. I'm like, how am I going to ask for the pants? I'm not going to ask for where's your fat boy pants. Then it just made me think of my child. It's like, I really don't want to ask for where's the husky pants.
What? I was just going to say that. It's like, where is the husky boys section?
So I remember growing up, I wasn't the thinnest then either, but whenever we had to buy pants for school, it's like, where's the husky section?
They don't use that word anymore.
No, they don't.
Even to describe boys.
Yeah.
They don't use the word husky. They don't even use the word stout. Like you said, thin, thinner, athletic.
Yeah.
So they're trying to put it, one of my big pet peeves in life is the softening of American language. Okay? When we were kids, adults would use words like fat to describe somebody, Nowadays,
I have a problem with that.
Nowadays, it's totally inappropriate for somebody to say someone is fat. They say they're overweight.
Yeah. Well, that's better.
Well, that's what I mean. It's the softening of the language. I've mentioned it does. I've mentioned before George Carlin.
Yes.
I'm not a George Carlin disciple by any stretch of the imagination, but I've heard George Carlin's stand up many, many, many times in my life. Saw him once live, which was totally awesome. But he has this routine that he does about the softening of American language. Yeah. And he uses specifically people who have had really bad experiences during conflict, so warfare experiences. And he's like, during World War I, they called people who basically broke mentally during combat, they referred to that as having shell shock.
Okay.
And there was absolutely no need. At the time, it was just something that somebody had, and it was not curable. They didn't do anything about it. It was just shell shock. You went crazy, and that was it.
Right.
Well, in World War II, that language kind of changed from shell shock, which was pretty descriptive of how you got the condition, to, I think it was operational exhaustion.
Okay.
So they kind of softens it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Right. And then in Korea, it changed again to battle fatigue.
Okay.
And then it was obvious, in recent times, it has changed again to post-traumatic stress disorder. So it's like this softening of all of this American language. And his contention was that these Vietnam vets who were so, who got so messed up mentally from all this, combat in the woods where they're just constantly looking over their shoulder thinking they're going to die at any moment.
Yeah.
If they had still been calling it shell shock, they probably would have gotten the mental health help they needed at the time instead of waiting 25 years later to call it something soft that now people can recognize as, oh, that's a mental disorder. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So a big thing with me is the softening of American language, and it's hilarious. My next door neighbor is Russian. Well, she's Ukrainian, really, but her mother was Russian, so I guess she's half and half. She is obviously European. So Europeans don't do that the way that Americans do. So she will come right out and tell you, or anyone, that person's fat, or that person's stupid. They're very upfront and forward with everything, whereas Americans are not. We use a lot of sarcasm. We bury a lot of our language with subtlety.
Yeah.
A lot of Europeans don't do that. So I'm dead set against all this subtlety stuff. Sarcasm, I'm totally on board with.
So you're happy with having the fat boy section of the clothing?
Absolutely. Fat girl, fat boy. It's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with it.
I wonder where husky came from, though. Because I remember asking my mom, like, what's a husky pant? Because I didn't know at the time. I was too young to know it meant chunky. But it was just like the only thing I knew that was a husky.
Excuse me, is there a chunky boy section?
Right. That was the other word that went. It's like, can you tell me where the chunky men pants are? Because he asked, like, what's a husky? Because the only thing I knew of a husky was a dog. I'm like, what am I wearing dog pants for? And why can't I wear normal pants? Anyway, so I ended up having to ask her, like, where's your not thin pants? So she had to call to the front and had to do it over the speaker.
Oh my God, they do it over the speaker? Do we have any fat pants here? It's Banana Republic. I think the answer to that is no.
And then she's like, my thing's not working. I have to go to the front. Like, I know she was just cracking up. Then she came back. She's like, the only thing we have for you is the athletic pant. But they even have like thin jackets, like thin like sport coats. Tried one of those on. It's just like, felt like a gorilla. It's just like.
Dude, that's how I feel.
All the time.
When I put on any formal attire.
Yeah?
Because my waist and my chest are there's such a large difference between the two.
Yeah.
Like when you go out and get a sport coat, I think like the normal cut on a sport coat is 3 inches between your shoulders and your waist. So if you're like a 36-inch waist, normal shoulder width would be, 39, 40 inches. So that's a normal cut. But then they have sport cut jackets.
Oh.
Those are 6 inches of difference. So if you're a 36-inch waist, you might have a 42 or a 43-inch chest. So that cut matches your chest.
Yeah.
My waist right now is probably about a 35 or a 36. And my chest is about a 48.
Oh.
So anytime I put on a coat
that
actually fits my waist, I feel like, as Tommy Boy put it, a fat guy in a little coat. I feel like a gorilla. Like I put it on, it's like any moment I'm going to just pull my arms around the front and the back's just going to rip right open.
Yeah.
But if I put on a jacket that fits my shoulders, I'm like, my legs are the dong inside of a bell, the bell striker. Clanger, thank you.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like. And actually, that's what I looked like the day of our wedding.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. And I even said to my wife, I was like, this jacket is ridiculous. I had to get a 50 at the time. My chest was a little bit bigger, so I had to get a 50 sized chest. And my waist at that time was probably like a 35. So that's a 15-inch difference in my chest and my waist.
Yeah.
It was comical. Like, you see these pictures of it, I look totally ridiculous in this coat. So as soon as I had an opportunity, that coat went off and it never went back on. Because I just looked so silly in the thing. So did you wind up getting pants?
Yeah, I went with a different style. I'm not...
Are you wearing that style right now?
No, these are the old style.
Okay.
I didn't need to replace all of them at the time, so...
How many pairs of pants do you own?
How many pairs of pants do I own?
Yeah, I mean work pants.
Work pants.
We'll say work pants, yeah.
Currently, maybe 5? Well, 4 or 5. I shoot for 5, then I could wear 1 pair every day.
Okay, so that was going to be my next question.
Yeah.
And we're going right for it here. I'm going for the jugular.
Yes.
Will you wear your pants more than 1 day before you wash them?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Pants, yes. Shirts, no.
Even though you wear undershirts?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
See, it really depends on my activity level for the day and if it's hot outside. But generally, I wear...
For your shirts or your pants?
My shirts.
Okay.
My pants, I'll wear those.
Some people don't even wash their pants.
Technically, and I'll thank Simon Whistler for this one. I love Simon Whistler. He does these YouTube videos that I just love to watch, like knowledge stuff. So it's like top 10 this, or today I learned this, or whatever. Great YouTube channels. He actually did a show, and it was something about blue jeans in particular.
Yeah.
But apparently one of the things is you don't need to wash them. The object is to actually not wash them unless they're like really filthy.
Yeah.
But if you've gotten like super dirty, you can wash them, but you can literally go like forever and not wash your jeans.
Yeah,
I would never do that because it's kind of nasty.
It's the same people that don't wash their hands coming out of the bathroom. They're just happy with filth. Sorry.
Like Pigpen from Peanuts.
People just have different levels of dirt that they're pleased with.
Do you know where Levi jeans originated? Do you know what that was from?
Cowboys?
Well, cowboys were some of the early supporters of Levi jeans.
Makers.
Yes! Levi Strauss was a tent maker, and he had come up with this material, denim, that he had taken with him to California during the gold rush. And that's what he was trying to sell, was tents made out of this material. And it turns out it's not very good tent material.
Oh.
So he was trying to figure out like other uses for it, and he was apparently not doing very well. And some miner came to him with like the pants that he had on. He's like, "This is ridiculous. These pants, I've only had them for this long. They've already got holes in them. It's like, I need something more durable.
Yeah.
Can you make me a pair of pants?" And so he took that tent material and made a pair of pants. And next thing he knew, it was like every miner in the camp was coming to him to have pants made because they were so durable.
Did you know they used to have an additional rivet?
They had an additional one?
They used to have one in the crotch.
No way.
They did, because it was a common spot for wear.
Yeah.
But it was very uncomfortable, so they stopped.
I can imagine so. It would be extremely uncomfortable. I was just about to say, it's a weird place for a rivet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, a lot of people don't know that little pocket on the right-hand side of your pants. You know, like your pants have, a standard pair of Levi's has two front pockets.
Yeah.
But in the right-hand pocket, there's that small little pocket.
Yes.
You know what that's for?
Pocket watch?
So a pocket watch.
That's where I put my pocket watch.
You carry a pocket watch?
Occasionally.
That's awesome.
It's fun.
My dad carried a pocket watch for years.
Yeah?
And he doesn't anymore, though. But I used to love seeing him pull his pocket watch out and look at it. I just thought it was the neatest thing.
It's fun.
Yeah. I would carry a pocket watch.
Yeah?
I think I would, yeah.
I stopped carrying it because now I got the phone in my pocket all the time. I've run out of pocket space because I don't know where to put my keys. Because wherever you put your keys, it's going to scratch one or the other. Yeah. And I don't want the phone and the pocket watch in the same pocket because then that's too bulky.
Do you put your wallet in your back pocket or your front pocket?
It's in the back pocket unless I'm going to the big city.
I always put it in my front pocket.
Yeah?
Yeah, always. It's just a...
Do you carry your phone in your front pocket?
I guess the answer to that is yes, but I try not to carry my phone at all.
So if you're going out walking around, though, you carry your phone.
I will.
Where do you put your keys at?
If I have all three things in my pocket, so wallet, phone, keys, I will put my keys in the pocket with my wallet. Because my wallet's leather. I really don't care if it gets scratched. Nobody sees it but me, so I don't care. But I'm also a key minimalist.
Yeah,
some people are key minimalists. Yeah. Some people are those.
Are you a super key minimalist where you like grind it down so it's only like the
nub?
Yeah.
No. No, but pull my keys out here. You can see the only thing that's on there is literally my house key and my car key. And since I have an older car, it's still a key fob.
Yeah.
But it's not. I remember as a kid, and this is something I will never ever forget. Thank you, Dad, and I know you're going to listen to this. I'll never forget how you knew which key went to the ignition of a car.
Okay.
Because a car came with two keys.
Right.
One key was for the door. One key was for the ignition.
Right.
Do you know which one was which?
Square goes to the ignition. Round goes to the door.
Yeah, because you can't go around the world in a car. That's what my dad told me, and I'll never forget that. But now it's totally worthless information because they don't make them that way anymore. That's how I always remembered when I was learning. It's like, well, I got to use this key. This is the square key. This is the one that goes in the ignition.
I guess kids wouldn't even know that today because I used to think it was square from when we were kids because the ignition had the square notches on it because you had to turn the whole.
It has the square notch on it because the key was square.
Yeah, right. But it used to have those extra ears on the ignition that you really had to like crank it and turn it. Now they don't have that. It's just a slot. Yeah. And then on the door surround was always round. So you put the round key in the round spot and the square key in the square spot.
Yeah, but I'll never forget. Can't go around the world in a car. So you had to use the square key to start it.
Yeah, I guess you can't unless you take the boat.
That was a beginning story, and that's been going on for 22
Talk to you
minutes.
Next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't even get to the good stuff yet.
I know.
Which I'm concerned because you didn't give me any hint of whether it's actually a topic for today or not.
Oh, we're going to find out. So do you want to move on? I think we probably should from pants.
That's good. All right. So I had asked you for today to watch a movie, that we were going to do a movie review on this movie. And I had one I had recently watched. It's available on Amazon Prime at the moment. So if you have that, you can watch it for free. It's called The Quiet Place. It was directed by John Krasinski. He stars in it as well. But it had really good reviews. When it came out in the theater, all the critics said it was really good. We looked it up the other day, and it has really high Rotten Tomato scores. Roger Ebert gave it 3.5 out of 4. And then something else was high. It had really good reviews. I had seen it because I was curious how good it was. It's not a type of movie I would typically watch. It's what did it call it? Drama thriller?
Yeah.
Horror thriller. Drama thriller.
Drama thriller. Yeah. They wouldn't have gone as far as to call it horror, although they could have. I mean, in the 80s, that would have been called a horror movie.
Yeah, I suppose so. But I watched it, and there were some interesting things going on in the movie, especially for how highly rated it was. So I was curious to talk to someone else about it. So I was going to ask you to watch it. But I only gave you a half a day's notice.
You gave me a half a day's notice?
But it's only an hour and a half.
And I stayed up late last night.
Did you?
Just so you know, to watch this movie.
Did you make it to the end?
I made it all the way to the end.
Oh. Okay. Now I feel kind of bad that you had to stay up late.
I totally stayed up late to watch it. But
you could have skipped probably a good chunk of the middle. I don't want to...
Oh, trust me, that skip ahead 10-second button was near and dear to me last night. 10 seconds. 10 seconds. I did watch the whole thing, though. So I did watch it, and I just want to point out to anybody who hasn't seen this movie, there's going to be lots of spoilers because we're going to talk about it.
This is all spoiler.
Yeah, this is nothing but a giant spoiler. So if you haven't seen The Quiet Place, stop the show right now. and pick it back up.
Yeah.
Skip ahead. Skip ahead 20 minutes. Yeah, don't stop it. Just skip ahead 20 minutes.
So we haven't done a full movie review before. This is the first one. So this is an interesting choice.
Yeah. So I did watch it.
Did you? So what would you give out of 5 stars, what would you give it?
This is tough because you can look at it in 2 separate ways.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
I think that it was very well designed and well made. And I think the premise and the way that it was filmed and the character development and all that kind of stuff, I think that was really good.
Yeah.
So many little things drove me absolutely insane while watching it. And that's going to severely detract from my star rating. So if I just was going on just the novelty of the movie itself, I would totally give it 4.5 out of 5 stars easily. Yeah, because I thought it was from that. If you're just strictly entertainment standpoint, it's actually quite good because it breaks a mold, sort of. I mean, there are other movies that are kind of like that. I mean, it reminded me of a cross between The Road, which
I haven't seen that. That's a depressing movie.
Yeah, exactly. It's really depressing. So it reminded me of a cross between The Road and M. Night Shyamalan's Signs.
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of a cross between the two. From that standpoint, I think that it did a good job doing what it was supposed to do because it was actually pretty entertaining in that regard. But when you start seeing all the stuff that's going on in the movie, especially like the culminating stuff with the girl and her cochlear implant, come on, bro. You know, you're a double E, okay? I can't. What did you rate the movie? I didn't even ask you. What did you rate it?
I'm going to give it a different kind of rating, right? So
from a technological rating, 1.
So if you think of the Cloverfield movies, which you haven't seen yet, there was the first one. It was a giant monster movie, and it was done pretty well, right? You could take it somewhat serious. Then
I forgot you loved the Cloverfield movies.
The middle one, it's like you wanted to take it serious because John Goodman's in it, but it just went off the rails.
John Goodman was in Revenge of the Nerds too.
He has a range. And then there's the last one, which it's just off the wall crazy. So this one, I was hoping it was going to be good because it has John Krasinski in it. He was in The Office. He does the Patriot Games show on Patriot Games, whatever that series is called, on Amazon Prime as well. That's a good one to check out. And he was in some other military one where he was a contractor, and he was good in that too. So he went from comedy to serious.
Wasn't he the latest incarnation of The Hunt for Red October and
Patriot Games? That guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Is that a show?
It's a show.
I thought it was a remake of a movie.
Oh no!
See, that's how out of touch I am. Okay, yeah. So he's the new Jack Ryan. That's the person I'm thinking of.
So he did good with that. So I would recommend watching that. So I was said, okay, this is it's got a good guy in it. It's supposed to be his first directorial debut. His wife is in it, who's also a big name star.
Emily Blunt.
Yeah.
Who's very attractive.
So I was leaning toward it being on the Cloverfield main movie side of the scale. But man, it shifted way beyond the Cloverfield paradox side. It just went bonkers.
It goes off the rails in so many weird little ways.
Yeah.
That I couldn't in good conscience, like I would never walk up to somebody and say, oh, this movie's awesome, you totally have to watch it.
Yeah.
Because the little things in there just drove me nuts.
They put so much thought into some small details, but then you had to completely overlook big things, and then the stack of big things you had to overlook just got huge. No, and then it's just they're just throwing stuff at it at the end. Like, what the heck's going on? Apparently, Michael Bay helped out with this too,
brother.
So that kind of explains quite a bit.
That does explain.
But why would they bring him in? I don't know.
Surprised that the creatures in the movie weren't made out of cars,
right,
or something.
It's almost like they were making this movie to be like for kids or someone who has never seen like a horror or a scary movie before.
I mean, it's not bad. I want to make that clear. It's not a bad movie.
No, but
if you're an intelligent person and like the in-depth stuff in a movie,
yeah,
it's going to drive you crazy,
right?
Because some people don't care. Even intelligent people, not so intelligent people, can watch a movie and just see the face of it, just the facade, and say, "Oh, that's
I can
great."
do that sometimes."
Exactly. Some movies you can just do that with, and it's fine. Even though some of the stuff that's going on is totally ridiculous, you can just.
Fast and Furious is a great one.
Good example, Jason. Thank you very much. So you can just enjoy it for what it is, but this one, the whole point of it is to kind of get you, because there's very little dialogue.
Right.
Very little dialogue. I mean, the script, seriously, man, could have only been like a page and a half.
I guess we should give a little bit of explanation for people who haven't seen it.
Okay. Go ahead. I'll let you.
Right. So I guess it's like after an apocalyptic event, these monsters come from somewhere. I guess space. Did one of the things say space?
It didn't say.
Didn't say. So there's these monsters that have invaded Earth, and they kill everything that's alive apparently not, but they kill people based on sound. Like that's the only thing they can sense is sound. They don't have any other senses. That's aware.
They must have had, and this is one of the things that drove me crazy, they had to have had sonar. They couldn't see people, but then when they open up their heads and all those little tubes, they have to have been using some sort of like echolocation.
Yeah.
I mean, how else would they get around? They didn't have eyes, right?
Yeah.
So why would they not have seen people? That's one of the biggest things that drove me crazy.
But if you stood still-ish, they didn't see you.
But the thing is, they didn't. Like when the father was standing on the truck in the cornfield, or on the tractor in the cornfield, creature ran right by him, and he was moving the whole time. And it's like the creature didn't see him because he can't see. Well, that's not very scientific.
Or when the mom was in the basement, she's moving around, and the thing's right in there.
Yeah,
didn't see her.
No sense whatsoever.
But before he got taken out of the movie, the one was up on the roof, looked right at him, and then jumped down at him. Right? So when they fought with the axe, so you could see him then, and he was out in the middle of nothing. I don't understand.
Yeah,
and he could hear the axe swinging through the air. Apparently,
it was a pickaxe.
Is that what it was?
Yes, and it was funny because there was an axe in the same bin with the pickaxe, and if I was going to choose a weapon, I'd choose the axe over the pickaxe. The pickaxe is really hard to swing.
Yeah.
An axe is quite a bit easier.
But they had posted on the wall, like, I guess they were trying to make it clear that they could only, like, they didn't know it was by sound. This was one of the reviews I saw was, apparently they kill everything, hunt everything with sound. But they were able to put out all these newspapers and sell them.
Hello.
Saying, we think it's by sound. But what were you going to say about the girl with there's a couple, the movie follows a couple. Yeah. It's a husband and wife. They had 2 kids. Well, the third one came later.
No, they start with 3.
Oh, that's right. They start with 3.
They start with 3, and that's the whole beginning of the movie. Like, you don't hear dialogue. You don't hear anyone speak in the movie for an hour. 45 minutes to an hour. Somewhere in there. But the whole thing is that one of their children, they have 3 children at the beginning of the movie. They have an older daughter who's probably, 15 maybe?
Probably, yeah.
14, 15 years old, who is deaf, profoundly deaf. And she has a cochlear implant.
Yes.
Right? So you got the profoundly deaf daughter, 14, 15-year-old daughter. Then they had like probably like a 10-year-old son. And then they had probably like a 6-year-old, 5 or 6-year-old son.
Right.
And they're walking back barefoot from town on this trail of sand.
Right.
That they apparently, they seem like they lived in New England. I'll just put that out there because of the trees.
New England, like farm country.
Yes, New England farm country. So they're kind of out in the country.
Yeah.
Where in the heck did they get all that white sand? There's literally a trail that goes all the way from town, well, quote unquote town, to their farm of white sand. It's like 2 feet wide and a couple inches thick. Where in the heck did they get all that white sand from?
I don't know. Plus it was fall, like almost fall, because there was a bunch of leaves falling down.
There was leaves everywhere.
But there's a lot of corn. Where'd all the corn come from?
Not only where did all the corn come from, how are they going to harvest the corn? They can't use a tractor. They can't go out there with a scythe and start cutting stuff down because the creatures are going to hear them.
Right. Did he plant it all by hand? I mean, this was a huge field. It went on forever. And it was 400 days later.
Yes, and yeah, exactly. Well, the movie starts, it's only like 89 days later. Yeah. I guess in the beginning, the youngest son, the 5 or 6-year-old son, gets his hands on a rocket ship.
Yes, sorry, I jumped ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Gets his hands on a rocket ship from the pharmacy in town. And his dad tells him no, but then he ends up getting his hands on it anyway. So on the walk back to the farm, he ends up turning this rocket ship on, and it makes all this noise and attracts one of these monsters, and the monster kills the little boy.
Yes.
So the monster kills the little boy.
All right. So that, it takes a break in the movie.
Yes.
Like it's like a whole year or something.
It's a whole year. So it jumps ahead a year after the boy's death. So it is. It's like perpetually fall.
Right.
Seemingly, it's perpetually fall, but all of the trees still have their leaves, but yet there's leaves all over the ground, everywhere, even in the houses.
Yeah, there was leaves inside.
Inside the farmhouse. They don't
have any doors.
They don't live.
Doesn't make any sense.
No, exactly. Why do all the houses, like the doors are all gone, but the windows are still there?
I mean, I guess so they could, I was assuming in the beginning it's so they could go in and out without making noise, but I would really like a wall between me and these
critters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Evil critters.
Yeah.
So I don't understand that one.
No, I don't. There's so much of the movie that makes no sense.
But why did the leaves, the trees were green, the leaves are all on the ground, but if you walk on the leaves on the sand, it's okay. They're not going to be crunchy, I guess. Maybe it always rains, but not enough to wash the sand away.
Oh, so there's corn.
But he keeps putting the sand down. They keep showing him putting bags.
I know. He's putting more sand. Where is this white sand coming from? Not only that, but that giant silo where they put the fire on, that silo is huge.
Right.
It's full of corn.
Yeah.
Where in the heck did they get all this corn from?
That's feed corn. It's not human corn.
It's human corn.
It's all dried out.
And that's okay. You can dry out human corn just like feed corn.
I don't think you can.
Sure you can. Reconstitute it. Just put it in water. Grind it up. What do you think? What do you think they like corn chips? Do you think they take a nice moist corn cob and stick it through the machine? No. The corn gets shucked off and then they grind it.
Feed corn. You don't put human corn in a silo.
You can totally. It's basically a silo is a modern day granary that they would have had 2,000 years ago. It's exactly the same thing. Anyway,
right. Anyways,
so
maybe he's making corn flour
again. So it's a year later.
Yeah,
but they have these giant fields of corn. You have any idea how long it would take to have planted that corn by hand? It would have taken an entire growing season. What the heck?
I know he has a lot of free time because there's nothing to do.
No, apparently he gets to go sit in the basement of the house and he gets to play with electronic equipment.
Why is the daughter not allowed in the basement?
I can't figure that out.
I mean, they made a big deal of grab her. She went to walk down the steps and they grabbed her and said, no.
Yeah, it made no sense at all. The only thing I could think was that the father was trying to hide the fact that he was trying to fix her cochlear implant.
Yeah.
So she could hear, which is weird because they don't ever talk. So I guess that was one of the premises. That everybody in the family knows sign language.
Right. Because
that older daughter was profoundly deaf. So everybody signs. So they do a lot of sign language throughout the whole movie. There's a lot of subtitles in there that you have to read.
Yes.
But even the subtitles are quite sparse. So the dialogue is almost non-existent.
It is about a page.
You've seen 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yeah.
That movie's long. Well, it's 2 hours and 45 minutes or whatever it is. It was a long movie for the time. but the script for it was very, very short. There's almost no dialogue in it at all. It's a lot of it's just about the cinematography, which is kind of what this movie is sort of about.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really neat elements to the cinematography, I guess, which is why I would give it a higher star rating just for that factor.
Yeah, that was neat. The first hour was pretty neat because it was peaceful to watch.
At the end, dude, I was hitting that 10-second ahead button every few seconds. Like, come on, man, this is getting ridiculous.
The dad's in the basement, working on the implant.
Yeah,
because apparently the girl can't hear. Something must have happened to her current implant,
which she had on,
which she wears all the time.
Yeah,
but she still adjusts the volume on it, but she still can't see. Can't hear it.
Yeah.
I don't understand that one.
No.
But it still makes noise. It's just not real noise.
Yeah.
Some other noise.
What's the point of that? What you come to find out is that the daughter's cochlear implant, there's something with you're a double E in the RF world. You can maybe shine some sort of light on this. How is this cochlear implant that this girl is wearing, which is a very small electronic device?
Yeah.
How is it broadcasting many yards
to
this creature and giving it such a bad reaction? So what happens is this girl's cochlear implant, when the creatures get close, I'm assuming it's creating some sort of feedback loop because of the echolocation that they're not using.
Right.
And then that feeds back through their own hearing, and that causes them to kind of go crazy.
Yeah.
Making them, apparently, even though they're armored all of the time, apparently when they're going crazy, they're no longer armored because that's when she shoots it and kills it in the basement. But
I guess when its head expands, you can just see it's like
that's
innards.
That's so weird. Such a weird concept. So what is it? Is that what it is? Is it a feedback loop that's being...
I have no idea, because you would think... I don't know a whole lot about cochlear implants, but I would imagine it's like a microphone in it that converts the sound to an electrical signal that transmits to the implant that's inside your skull, which then transmits it to whatever's inside, to the bones or whatever's in there. But then they take it and they stick it in front of the microphone, which apparently they have giant speakers set up all around the farm for some reason. And then they broadcast that, but there's no sound coming out. There's no speaker in the cochlear implant. So I don't know. That kind of fell apart.
Yeah, no. I'm not an electrical engineer, okay? That whole thing did not make sense to me at all. I know enough to know that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So I can imagine someone like you watching it was just like, What? What are you doing?
I mean, they had all that electronic equipment in the basement. Kept thinking, that's a lot of cool stuff. What are you doing with it? Like, who are you talking to?
What is that even doing down there?
And you've been in there for 4 years and you're just now checking stuff off the lists? You could be able to go through that all in a day. Or do you have like multiples of these sheets? But you can't print stuff. So it's like, why would you like put a big line through it? Because you know you're going to have to go back and check it tomorrow. No, I don't know. And how are they running all this electricity?
That's never touched on whatsoever. Obviously, they're not using a generator.
I mean, I could only assume that there's someone inside the nuclear plant that just has perpetual energy, that it's just their duty.
Lot in life now is to keep
I can't
this power
leave
running.
Because I'm in the secure place and I'm just eating snacks out of the vending machine until...
Talk about obese. The guy's going to weigh 500 pounds.
Homer from Simpsons just sitting there with his foot on the button.
Eating donuts and drinking coffee.
Okay, so when they come back after the break, at the year break, the mother is pregnant again.
The mother's pregnant again, yes.
She's pregnant. Then they have to throw in, there's the dramatic part of them falling into the corn silo, which then turns into a quicksand.
What? You've been in a corn box before, right? I would assume with kids, right. You go to like a fall festival, there's always a corn box. I grew up in like dairy farm country. Yeah. So lots of like feed corn growing all over the place. I've stood in piles of feed corn. Yeah. Certainly isn't quicksand. No. Even if you fall in this stuff, it actually kind of hurts because it's like
gravel.
Yes. You hit it, you're gonna sink a little bit, but then it's gonna turn into concrete. Yeah. And like really fast.
Yeah, but it just like sucked them down in there.
And that's totally ridiculous.
And then, except for the monster that jumped in there. He can walk around on it just fine.
Yeah, he's got pointy legs. Right. He doesn't even have feet, for Christ's sake.
But then they go from that, and then they have the stupid nail in the boards, which is in all the trailers, that the mother steps on.
What is that nail doing there? Why would you put a nail point up through the bottom of a step? That is the dumbest thing ever.
Maybe that's why the dad didn't want her to go down the steps, because he knew that nail was there. But the mom should have known.
The mom's an idiot.
Yeah.
She did some of the dumbest stuff. Like, she was doing laundry. Okay. Let's back the train up a little bit. Apocalypse. At least 500 days later.
Yeah.
Yet she's in her basement using their washer and dryer. What?
Well, she wasn't using it. She was using the just the sink. She was washing it by hand.
Oh, that's right.
And they hung it out to dry.
That's right, because I remember thinking when I saw that part, it's like, man, washing all that laundry by hand, that would take you like a whole day.
Right.
Because she had 2 huge bags of laundry.
Yeah.
And of course, they had to be burlap sacks that said, seed corn on there. And I'm thinking to myself, what? Laundry bags disappeared during the apocalypse? I mean, what the heck?
The basket makes too much noise.
Exactly. Man, so many little things drove me totally insane. And it was worth watching.
Yeah.
And it was totally worth watching when I was tired. Because if I had watched it and I wasn't tired, then I think I would have been a lot more lenient with what I saw.
Oh,
I would
really?
have taken it more as the entertainment value of it. But watching it when I was tired and already kind of crabby, it's just like, oh man, that's dumb. God, that's so dumb. What are they doing?
I don't understand this one. They had 2 houses. Well, they had the house.
They lived in the barn.
And
because the barn had a root cellar.
Right.
Yeah.
But she had to go to the house to do the laundry because that's where they had whatever their source of water was.
No. Their source of water, it was in the barn.
Was it?
Because after the baby was born.
Right. I know it sprung a leak.
Yeah. In the barn.
But she was washing clothes in the house, though.
I know. So why?
Why would you? I don't understand why they don't live in the house.
Well, did you notice that in the house they had little spots painted on the floor and on the stairs?
Yeah.
I think those were spots to where they knew that they could step without making the floors creak.
Yeah. But still, he was in the basement all the time, which must be pretty soundproof because he's calling all these people.
Well, he's not. He doesn't actually speak into the microphone. He just activates the mic because it makes the click sound.
Yeah, I suppose so.
And it's activated, and he was doing SOS into the key on the mic.
Yeah.
Pop, pop, pop. Bop, bop, bop.
Yeah,
bop, bop,
that's
bop.
right.
There's just so many things wrong with that movie. I'm sorry, man. I was expecting, coming from you, it was a recommendation from you. You wanted to do a movie review. So we're doing a movie review. I expected more out of this movie, and when I was done, I was in bed when I finished it last night. I was using my iPad, and my wife was in the shower. And I finished it, and then literally I took it, I was like, and I just threw my iPad onto my wife's pillow. It's like, oh man, I can't believe I just stayed up late to watch this stinking movie.
See, I wanted you to have the same experience I had, because I went into it thinking, this should be good. Because I saw it was on Prime. I was like, I can't believe that's on Prime. I'm going to watch that today. So I watched it soon after.
There's a reason that most movies are on Prime. Because they're not Prime.
But they're high. It was highly rated. So I wanted someone else to go in and... Because I tried to get my wife to watch it. So I said, let's watch this one together. She's like, what's it about? It's like, well, here, I'll let you watch the trailer. And she watched. Yeah, I'm not watching that. It's like, I got to talk to someone about this. So it was driving me crazy.
I couldn't even tell my wife what the movie was about. Those kind of movies give her horrible nightmares. I couldn't even tell her what it was about. She came upstairs. I was already in bed. And she's like, I'm surprised you're still up. And I said, yeah, I'm doing some research for the podcast tomorrow. She's like, oh, you're recording tomorrow. I'm like, yeah. And then she goes about doing her normal stuff. And then a few minutes later, she goes, what kind of research are you doing? 10:30 at night. I was like, oh, I'm watching this movie that Jason recommended. He kind of wanted to do a movie review. So I said, all right, let's watch it. So she's like, what's it about? And it's like, I can't tell you. And she looked at me and says, why not? And I say, well, it's sort of a horror movie. She goes, nope, don't want to know. Because she knows that kind of stuff, that movie would totally freak her out. She would never, ever walk through a cornfield again.
It's not a scary movie. I wouldn't say it was scary.
It's a jump scare movie.
Yeah, it's not what I expected it to be. Because I kind of I like the really big monster movies like Godzilla. Those ones are fun for me. These ones were smaller monsters. But I like watching the movies and see how they have the characters prepared to live when things are drastically different. I don't know.
One of the things that I couldn't figure out, why did they even put in that section? Oh, I know why they put it in. Because the movie had no dialogue. The movie was an hour and a half long. It wasn't even an hour and a half. It was probably about an hour and 20 minutes if you took out the beginning credits and the ending credits.
That's probably true. Yeah, because it's rated at an hour and 31.
Yes, so it's very short.
Yeah.
So there's no dialogue in it.
Yeah.
How long can you actually stretch out a movie with no dialogue?
Yeah.
Well, apparently for 2001: A Space Odyssey and Stanley Kubrick, they could do it for 3 hours.
Yeah.
But in this particular case, they weren't good enough to do that, so they cut it down to about an hour and 20 minutes, I guess, I would say. That whole section with the old couple in the woods.
What was that about?
Why? Why was that even in there?
Right. Of all days that he's walking through the woods, it has to be that day?
It made absolutely zero sense.
Yeah.
And another thing that made absolutely zero sense about that whole scene with the old couple, the father and the son are walking back to the house after a day of fishing.
Yes.
And they see one of their neighbors just standing in the woods.
Oh, yeah.
In front of a hole.
Yeah.
And this neighbor is an old man. He's got to be probably in his 70s. And in this hole is what's left of his wife. Like half of his wife. Like the top half. Like her legs and everything are gone. Right? And so the old man's just standing there looking over this hole. Well, first of all, he dug the hole. How did he do that? Did he do it with his hands? Did he use a shovel? Well, that's going to make a lot of noise. You know, especially in that country, picking rocks every 2 seconds,
That's why they had the pickaxe.
So the father and the son are walking back to their property. They have to walk by their neighbors, and they see this old man standing in the woods with this body in the hole. And every other time, I guess only one other time in the movie, that somebody gets killed, you see the son get killed and the dad get killed. I guess it's 2 other people.
Yeah.
Bodies are gone. The creatures take them and consume the bodies. Why was this woman still even present? Yeah. She was dead. Okay, whatever. So the creatures would have taken her and eaten her, but they didn't. Yeah. They had
maybe she had cancer and they could hear it.
Hear the cancer. So they ate her legs because she had cancer in her torso somewhere. Okay, whatever. Either way. So this whole scene, and it lasts for like 5 minutes. Yeah. This old man in the woods, and then the father and the little boy, and then the old man just starts screaming because he now wants to die. So he knows if he starts screaming, the creatures are going to come take him. Yeah, which they do. Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense to have that in there, but they had to put it in there to expand their time a little bit because it was so short.
They needed something to add to the drama, to get you pumped back up again.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
But the other part, so when his wife went into labor. So they have lights strung up all over the place. Mm-hmm. And then when she went into labor, she threw this giant circuit breaker, right, that turned all the white lights off, regular lights, and turned on red lights. Where'd they get all those red light bulbs? Because you only can go to the one town. There's no way they had that many red light bulbs.
Oh, that was a lot.
That's a lot of
They
red
were strung everywhere.
Why were they strung everywhere?
Through the cornfield. Right. This giant cornfield with the sand that seemingly between every building and everywhere they ever walk, they've piled this white sand. And it's the kind of white sand you find in a sand trap at a golf course.
It's not play sand.
No.
But he was carrying it out of like a potato sack bag. Maybe that's what he had his kids doing. Maybe they were just sitting in the basement rubbing 2 rocks together.
To make this white sand
so they could walk everywhere. But they got enough done to make it all the way from their house to town in a year.
In less than a year.
Yeah. That's right. The first one was 97 days or something.
It was 89 days. Yeah. So they had it 89 days it took them to make that trail from house to town, which who knows how far it was. They did have other neighbors that were alive.
Yeah, that was, because they would light those fires. What was the point of that?
I think the point of that was just so they were acknowledging the fact that they were still alive and they were still there.
So why didn't he just call his neighbor on the SOS ham radio?
Why would he do that?
So they could talk to him. Apparently they didn't talk to him enough because the old guy just lost it.
Yeah, he lost his mind.
Yeah.
I would have too.
Oh, this was the other thing. So the kids go up onto the top of the silo before they fall in.
Yeah,
right?
First of all, how do they even get up there?
There's a ladder.
Why do they go up there?
I guess they felt safe. But then they wanted to light the fire so they knew where the dad was to find them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they got the fire going and they wanted it bigger, but they didn't have enough wood, I guess. So the girl's just squirting the lighter fluid on. Like, that's going to explode any second. It's going to go right up the stream and explode in her hand. And she's shaking it and squeezing it. There's no big flame.
And I will have to say that those particular children were stupid. I don't know. There's nothing else you can say. Just what the heck, you know?
Yeah.
Kids make silly decisions and stupid things all the time, but come on, man. Come on, man.
I mean, you've got a year to teach them. You're not doing anything else except planting that corn and making that sand.
Shucking the corn. making the sand.
Why are the raccoons allowed to live?
I don't know. And they were pretty fat, healthy raccoons,
they were.
Too.
They had no fear.
No?
Because they fell off the roof. What were they doing on the roof?
How did they even get on the roof? The barn didn't have any trees around it. No. It was in the middle of a field.
Yeah.
How'd they get up on the roof?
I guess the monsters don't like raccoons. There's no birds.
Well, they ate one of them.
They did.
They ate one of the raccoons. But you hear all the other creatures and stuff going through the woods. One of the things I really, really didn't like is they had to make an effort to make the soundtrack blank.
Yeah.
So even when you're walking on sand, you know what? You still make noise.
Right.
It's a very soft noise, but it's still there. They didn't even bother putting that in. So like all the scenes, there's just no sound.
Right.
It's just blank.
Yeah.
And I thought, this is really, really weird. So it's almost as though they took the soundtrack and just muted it. They didn't,
but not everything.
Not everything. There's still
just the sounds that you would
they should have been making. Yes, sounds you would have expected to hear. Nobody had shoes on. Everybody walked around barefoot. And I understand that you know, shoes are going to make more noise in the sand, I guess.
Why don't you wear sneakers? You know why they call them sneakers?
Yeah, I guess.
Sneak around?
I don't know. So everybody's barefoot. Nobody's got shoes on.
Maybe there's no shoe stores. Because even the dad didn't have shoes on.
No, nobody wore shoes.
I could see the kids maybe outgrowing their shoes.
I don't know if I want to talk about this anymore. We're 57 minutes into the show right now. And we've talked about this movie for at least a half an hour.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you want to see The Quiet Place, watch it yourselves.
Oh, one more thing. So when it came out, right, there must have been a lot of buzz before it came out. Like a lot of the industry insiders knew about it. Because Netflix put out a similar movie called The Bird Box.
Oh, I heard about that one.
It was with Sandra Bullock, another big star. And those ones, you weren't allowed to see the monster. Yeah. If you saw the monster, it would make you crazy.
Yeah.
I watched part of that. I couldn't get through it. It wasn't that good either. I didn't care for it. It's still on their like top viewers, I guess. But
so the next one is going to be one where you have to be deaf.
Because
in this one you couldn't make any sound.
Yeah.
So speak no evil. The Bird Box you couldn't see it, so see no evil. And now there's got to be one for hear no evil. So there's got to be one where, you know, if you hear the sound, it's going to drive you insane or something.
Just sound, like crazy sound.
Yeah. And that would be really funny. That would be like a really crazy little trifecta of films to watch on a Saturday afternoon or something. Do you have anything else
you
want to add to this show? This has actually been a ton of fun. I didn't even know what to expect. Yeah. I had totally forgotten that we were recording this morning.
Oh.
And so, I mean, I didn't forget today. I remembered this morning.
Yesterday.
But I had totally forgotten since our previous edition that actually dropped last night, the Martinus.
Yeah.
The Master of Bricklaying and Electricity.
Yeah.
I think is what that one's called.
I wanted to add something about that one. I didn't get to add into the last one because Martinus had to evacuate quickly.
Very abruptly.
He had another scheduled appointment or something. I don't know.
Which was totally baffling to you and I both. But.
Yeah, that's why the last one ended so quickly.
Yeah.
But the reason we had him on there was, so I go to meetings with him occasionally or like lunches together. Sometimes our lives overlap. But whenever I'm there, I don't know him that well, but he knows other people there that he knows well. He always has the most off-the-wall stories. I just wanted to hear more of his stories.
You know,
and he just starts talking about random stuff, and he just comes up with stories on the fly. Because we went to a restaurant, and there's a giant painting on the wall. And it's a weird one. I don't even know why they have it there. But he's starting to make up all these stories about all the characters in this painting and how it relates to these other ancient paintings. And maybe this guy's from that painting. But what's he doing in this painting? And why is he hanging out with this girl in this painting?
Oh, you know, there's absolutely zero doubt that he's a very intelligent person.
Yeah.
But he does have some of the the story with the dogs. I mean, come on, man. That was hilarious. But that's what I expected in the whole show. I expected that. I didn't expect, you know, a 10-minute discussion on ancient Greek, which was really cool.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that it wasn't. I did not see that coming.
Yeah.
And I definitely didn't see the whole thing coming with his father and his father's 92-year-old father and his 92-year-old father's girlfriend and their condo in Pittsburgh. I didn't anticipate any of that stuff.
But it is. It's just like he just starts talking about stuff, and it just pulls you in. It's like, where does this story come from? I don't know.
It's not where does it come from. It's where is it going. That's what you really need to know is where are Martin's stories going. But having him on the show, we recorded that one a week late.
Yeah.
So as a result of recording that one a week late, we only had a week to get it out, which was today. So I anticipated, like in my head, I'm thinking, oh, we have another week until we record again.
Because we had a special theme episode coming up.
Yes, we do. So we are going to be having our special theme episode. The next episode, episode 27, will be a theme episode that we will have to prepare for ahead of time. So it won't be going into it cold, I don't think, because we have to prepare too much for it. But hint, it's about a continent. That's all I'm going to say.
All right.
Well, that's going to do it for today, Conversational Chaos fans. We really appreciate you tuning in, listening to the show. We do appreciate the feedback that we get, so keep that coming. Send us emails. We've kind of been pretty strong on Instagram, so you can find us at Conversational Chaos on Instagram.
I think that's right.
That's right.
Look in the show notes.
Look in the show notes. Yeah, all the information's in there. We do appreciate it, and we thank you very much for listening.
Thank you.